Unless you've been living under a rock, you've been likely hearing the real-world functionality of aerodynamic winglets being hotly contested by motorcyclists. Every new sport bike coming out, regardless of displacement, seems to be coming equipped with winglets. This has been going on for years now. We've already talked about their questionable efficacy countless times over the last few years, so we're going to skip that part in today's video. But in the same vein of useless, ultra-high-spec performance parts making their way onto street bikes, we must talk about brake ducts. Brake ducts are just about as useless as winglets when it comes to real-world riding. You'll find brake ducts equipped on ultra-high-spec sport bikes like the M1000RR, or being sold as a factory option on superbikes like the Aprilia RS-V4 or the Ducati Panigale V4. Or maybe you're just a true carbon fiber bro and you'll install aftermarket brake ducts on any bike that you own. And just like aerodynamic winglets, brake ducts are even making their way onto smaller displacement bikes just for style points, I guess. For instance, the new up-and-coming CF Moto 675 SS comes with brake ducts from the factory, which is a little bit silly. The intended purpose for installing brake ducts is to increase the airflow to your brakes to promote cooling and minimize brake fade during high-performance riding. But just like winglets in 99.999% of circumstances, you will not be riding fast enough and braking hard enough to really recognize any significant difference. For a vast majority of riding, whether you're just riding in the city or pushing harder in the twisties, a motorcycle's brakes are able to cool effectively just by being exposed to the air. It's not like they're car brakes that are tucked within a wheel inside of a wheel well. Motorcycle brake rotors and calipers are literally out in the open and likely to receive ample airflow on their own, without a duct forcing more air across them. And most of you are not braking anywhere hard enough on street to really utilize this. Not even on track. Motorcycles are also a fraction of the size of cars, meaning a lot less energy needs to be dissipated during high-speed braking. They really are just unnecessary for a majority of riders and exist as another feature to solve a problem that doesn't exist in a majority of riding scenarios, or is installed as a style flex, like winglets or carbon fiber fenders. They're a part put on by fast boys so they can offer the illusion of speed and performance. Let me ask you something, why do motorcycles need ambient temperature gauges? I'm not talking about engine temperature, oil temperature, coolant temperatures. Now, those readings are helpful to see when you're riding. You need to know if your engine temp or your oil is shooting through the roof. I'm talking about a gauge that just shows the temperature of the air around you. Can you not feel the approximate temperature on your body considering, you're not contained within walls? Any consideration a rider should pay to the weather should probably happen before they ride, no? You usually check the weather on an app, put on the right gear accordingly, and head off. What good is knowing the outside temperature going to do once you're already on the bike? Wouldn't you make a point to stop and warm up when you feel cold and not when the ambient temperature gauge says it's cold? It's kind of strange when you think about it. It's not like when you're riding in a car and you can just adjust the thermostat to warm up the cabin or defrost the windshield on cold days. I really don't see any real-world use for knowing the ambient temperature when riding your bike. If it's really cold out, the roads can be a little slick, especially painted lines, but you would know that because you feel how cold it is. It is usually a smart practice to let your tires warm up to operating temp on cold days before you trust that you'll have traction. But you should probably be able to tell that it's cold enough and to be a potentially hazardous situation without an ambient temperature gauge telling you so. Little convenience features like this serve little to no purpose and just create more things that can break. You know what I think more bikes should have? A compass reading. It would be 1,000 times more convenient to be able to know what general direction you're traveling than what the outside temperature is, especially when there's no inside of a motorcycle to begin with. Having an eco mode indicator on a motorcycle is as unnecessary as an ambient temperature gauge as well. Who is riding their motorcycle in eco mode? For most bikes, eco mode refers to the eco indicator that pops up on the dash when you're riding a motorcycle economically. It can also be a ride mode you can put the bike in that kind of dials power down and increases miles per gallon marginally, which pretty much just means you're keeping the RPMs in the lower part of the rev range for the sake of fuel efficiency and not going wide open throttle. But that's just the thing. Motorcycles are pretty damn fuel efficient in general. An S1000RR can easily get over 40 miles to the gallon. You can routinely ring your bike out to redline and it will still be leaps and bounds more efficient than an average car. I'm pretty sure on the M209 SP I ran last year, I was ringing it out all the time. I could easily get 38 miles to the gallon. Motorcycles are also meant to be revved out. The engines are designed for optimal combustion at higher RPMs. You'll be sacrificing so much more in terms of fun and experience just to save a few extra miles per gallon. You bought the whole tachometer, use it. Kawasaki touts the economical riding indicator on their Ninja H2. Why the hell would you buy a $30,000 supercharged leader bike to ride it with any concern about fuel efficiency? That is blasphemous. They should have a yeet indicator that lights up on your dash when your yeet energy is through the roof. Or it should be a little power bar that fills up and says, hey, you haven't yeeted it in a while. Why don't you just rip this thing wide open? That's what you bought it for, right? Bikes with actual eco modes, which just so happens to be another weird useless feature you can find on bikes from CF Moto, will actually adjust the fuel mapping to optimize fuel efficiency instead of power. This could reduce the throttle sensitivity, peak horsepower, or a combination of both. Big touring bikes with automatic DCT transmissions may also have eco modes that operate similarly to a car, where it shifts early to keep RPMs low and improve fuel efficiency. I don't know about you guys, but that's not what I come to motorcycling for. I'll just take my truck at that point. I guess this might be somewhat useful, certainly more useful than an eco-fueling map on a manual transmission bike, but I imagine the sluggish throttle and limp engine power you experience in eco mode is really not worth a couple more MPGs on your trip average. It seems like a pretty useless feature. The only way I can think this is useful is if you need to squeeze out an extra couple of miles of range to get to the next gas station because you yeeted it too much. Then maybe eco mode is actually useful.
All right, if you told me that I would have 2 yellow giveaway bikes for 2024, I don't think I had that on my bingo card, honestly. But this is our Cosmic Yellow Street Triple 765 RS. This is our new giveaway bike on yammynoob.co. Become a member for your best chance to win. You can stack up your entries, assign them to this giveaway bike, and then we do more giveaway bikes. You can do that as well. You get access to the Discord server, exclusive content, discounts on merch, and so much more. Head over to the website and do not miss your chance to win this machine.
Okay, fast boys, you might want to go ahead and cover your ears for this one. A lean angle sensor readout on your bike is an extremely useless novelty. Of course, the lean angle sensor itself is necessary for advanced motorcycle safety tech like cornering ABS and traction control to function properly, but the lean angle readout that's displayed on a bike's dash is pretty useless. Most street riders don't need to be pushing the limits of their motorcycle on public roads in such a way where the lean angle is any consideration. When you're an experienced rider who has strong cornering abilities, those big lean angles come as a result of good technique. A lean angle readout that displays the lean on your motorcycle's dash essentially just creates an unnecessary goal for riders to see how far they are leaning in every corner. And it's kind of counterproductive to a rider's path of organic growth, and instead can create another benchmark for a rider to strive for and then brag about to their friends, which literally means nothing. It's not like a lean angle sensor actually delivers any actionable feedback. It doesn't say, hey, for this corner at this speed, you should be leaning this far. A lean angle sensor is essentially the ECU shaming you for the chicken strips on your rear tire. And if you watched our video on the science of lean from December, you'll know that leaning a motorcycle in a corner isn't about style or swag. It's a necessary element of a motorcycle to balance the forces acting on a bike during a turn. The tighter the turn and the faster the speed of the bike, the higher the angle of lean required to complete the turn. So fast boys and street squids say things like, I got 50 degrees of lean while riding the hairpin twisties at the Devil's Step Ladder out in Gunnison National Park. And the rest of us are like, ooh, very impressive. More bikes having lean angle readout displays are just gonna make high lean angles the new 186 miles per hour memes. If you're a hardcore track day rider or amateur racer doing advanced rider training on track, being able to see your lean angle might serve you marginally, but really doesn't even matter that much. And for ordinary street riders, it's more of a distraction than anything else. And I'll tell you this, if you low side your bike trying to achieve maximum lean angle, for a brief period in time, you'll reach 90 degrees of lean. How cool is that? A lot of big, expensive bikes come with hill start assist or some other proprietary branded tech that serves the same function. You'll find them on BMW GSs, KTM Super Adventures, Harley Davidson Freedom Hogs, and I'm sure many other big touring bikes that are perceived as luxurious. But essentially, it's a feature that is commonly found on bikes sold by companies that specialize in milking their high-earning customer base for all that they are worth. The Hill Start Assist tech essentially prevents the bike from rolling backwards when it detects it's at a standstill on an incline. But you know what also stops a bike from moving backwards on a hill? The brakes. A lot of these big luxury bikes already come with unified braking anyway, which only make using the brakes while starting on a hill that much easier to begin with. If we want motorcycles to retain any sort of affordability in the coming years, we need to at least acknowledge that a lot of the features found on these bikes are kind of ridiculous and unnecessary. Otherwise, more and more tech and features are going to keep starting to come out, bleeding their way onto smaller bikes, and everything's going to keep getting more expensive. Sure, It might be mildly easier to start your bike on a hill or provide some peace of mind knowing that there's a safety measure in place to prevent your K1600 from rolling back on you if you don't know how to use the brakes and the clutch when you take off from a hill. But we almost collectively agree that it's not impossible. Not everything should be engineered and refined repeatedly just to make a relatively innocuous task slightly easier. Learning how to navigate new situations on your motorcycle is how you grow as a rider. If someone can afford a $30,000 motorcycle but they can't start it on a hill without hill start assist, it just shows you how backwards the consumer culture of motorcycling really has become. Hill start assist may be slightly more useful on a big adventure bike if you're trying to start it while on an incline on the dirt, likely after dumping the bike. But that whole situation is probably indicative of the fact that you're using the wrong bike for the job. 500 to 600 pound adventure bikes are ill suited for that kind of riding. Having to restart the bike after tipping over an uphill gravel trail is Exhibit A. Well, actually failing to make it up the hill in the first place is Exhibit A, and then struggling to get it moving again from said hill would be Exhibit B. So what do you guys think about all these tech features? How many out there are running brake ducts on your 600? I know you're out there. Tell me. I want to know. We, of course, want motorcycles to be safer, better, and more fun, but we got to stop lying to ourselves about the reality of a lot of these features, right? I mean, it's 2025. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. If you want to stay up to date on all the new projects we got coming this year, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. Fact: astronomers at Johns Hopkins University determined the average color of the universe by combining the visible light from over 200,000 galaxies into a single color that humans can see. It is a beige color called cosmic latte. Cosmic latte is also the name of the $8 beverage at your local coffee shop. Goodbye.
Well, boys, that's the end of the show for today, but there's always a new video tomorrow. Every single day, there's a Yami Noob video. But while you wait for the next one to queue up, become a member on YamiNoob.co and join to win this amazing Triumph Street Triple 765 RS that's right next to me. Cosmic yellow, street performance, track performance, a sonorous 3-cylinder. It has it all. Make sure you join on YamiNoob.co and don't delay.